One thing that I would love to hear from one of the MPs is, how do we safeguard marriages? Because the broken marriages, broken homes also affect performance of the country.
Do you think it's an advantage to pick, with lack of a better term, I would say your sister?
We need to identify people who can deliver. KK left those industries that were value adding. Today we don't have them. This is when we're talking about investing in them. In 1964, Zambia's GDP per capita was better off than that of China. We want to look at agriculture, want to look at health, want to look at mining, want to look at aeronautics, want to look at electronics. We invest in these areas. Once we invest in these areas, then we'll be able to produce something. The other responsibility that this technology and innovation has is to start producing drones to be deployed in agriculture. My competition is not even HL. My competition is not these our predecessors, maybe KK, but I'm focusing at what Traore has achieved. The young man has achieved something great within 2 to 3 years.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Young People in Politics podcast. With me today hosting the show, Dr. Chelo Mumbuna. And of course this is the Young People in Politics podcast, where real talk meets the young people's energy. And today we've got an exciting guest on our show who is one of Zambia's youngest presidential aspirants. He's vying for the top job and he's here joining us today. And we'll be able to ask him different questions around his aspirations for the top job, around what he has in store for the young people, and pick his mind on different progressive issues of interest to the country and interest to us as the young people. So without wasting much of your time, I'll go right into introducing our guest for today, who is none other than Mr. Akim Njovu. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to the Young People in Politics podcast.
Good afternoon, Dr. Mumbuna. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
We are really grateful that you made time to come and join us to discuss with us as the young people. Yes. And we're very interested to pick your mind on several issues. Okay. So I think before anything else, I think the icebreaker question would be, who is Akim Njovu, especially for the people who would be seeing you on this platform for the first time?
Thank you so much to our viewers out there. Akim Njovu is a young man, as you can see, who is, I think, the youngest presidential candidate amongst the 14 that are participating in the 2026 general elections. So I was born in Livingstone, where I did my primary school as well, from grade 1 to 7 at Zambezi Primary. And then later on, my mother died when we were in grade 7. So we could not stay in Livingstone because my father said he could not manage to take care of us alone there. He had no relatives there. So that's how we moved to the Eastern Province, specifically in Chipata. And I started my grade 8 at Hillside Day Secondary School, where I completed my grade 12. So after completing my grade 12 there, I had an opportunity to join the Air Force. So I joined the Air Force in 2000. We went for military training. We did our military training for 8 months. Then after we finished, we went to Mumbai to do our technical courses. So I was enrolled as an aircraft maintenance technician. So we did our training for 2.5 years. And after that, I was the outstanding student. Because I was the outstanding student, I was taken or posted to the presidential squadron of the Air Force, which we call number 1 squadron. When I retired, I was a sergeant, but also I became a flight engineer. Then whilst studying there, I think that was the final bus stop where I knew I wanted to be in my career, because I was quite hardworking and I was at school. I dreamt of a different life. By the way, my ambition when I was growing up, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I wanted to fly fighter jets. Yes, that's what I had desired to do, but I found myself on the other side. Instead of flying, but I was repairing them. So that's how I started SCCA that was 2004. So I did the SCCA until I completed. Then when I completed my SCCA, I asked to change departments. I asked to go to accounts, but they refused. They say, in the Air Force, we don't downgrade people, so you have to continue in engineering. So that's how I said, oh, okay, if that's the case, then can I be given an opportunity to practice what I've studied? And that's how I went to the senior NSWAS mess, where I became the treasurer for 2 years before I retired. At the anniversary of my 10th anniversary, I decided to leave the Air Force, or exactly on the 10th anniversary, which was on 8th May 2010. So I left the Air Force and joined the private sector. I joined the CELPE as an internal auditor, where I worked for 6 months. And the pay there was only covering my transport. It didn't have anything excess to take care of other expenses. But I studied that, and after 6 months, I got an opportunity where I became the company's company accountant at Mayfair Insurance. Then also rose through the ranks. I became the finance manager and company secretary. Then now in 2018, I got another opportunity. I joined Marsh, one of the world's leading insurance broking company. It's listed on the New York Stock Exchange, so I was given an opportunity to be the chief financial officer. I left Marsh on my 7th anniversary. I told I've served 7 years, and exactly on my 7th anniversary, I said I'm going to now respond to my call. I think God has called me into politics to save this country from its struggles. So that's how I left, and I went into politics. Yes.
Wow, I think that is quite a remarkable track record that spans from the military through into the private sector and through different multinational companies. I think that leads us to other questions that people might have,
yes,
especially on your bid for the top job.
Yes. Considering
everything and the track record you've had, would like to know, how long have you harbored what you are calling as a calling, yes, into politics and vying for the top job? How long has this been in your mind? And okay, would also want to know, why now? Why 2026? Why not before? Why yes, not later?
Okay, thank you so much for that good question. So what happened is, I think in 2020, around 15 years ago, that's when this dream was actually born. Yeah, it was born, so that's why I call it's a calling. It was born that time, though it wasn't too clear. I remember at some point in 2020, is it true 2020, I'd wanted to stand as a member of parliament in my constituency. But after receiving some guidance, it appeared that maybe that wasn't the right time. And if I look at me myself today, what the vision that I have for the country, and that particular time, I never had anything to tell the people. But this time I can tell the Zambians what I want to do for the Zambians. So it specifically points out to say, my vision is not for the constituency. My vision is not for the province, but for the country at large. So why would I go for the presidency? It's because of the vision, the plans that I have for the country. They are there to transform a country, not to transform a constituency. If you notice, most of the promises that the members of parliament make, they are misplaced. Some of them talk about building schools, building hospitals, building all these things. That's not their responsibility. Their responsibility is actually to pass policies that favor the people in their communities, to ensure that the policies that are passed promote or safeguard our heritage, policies that are passed help us in terms of our health policies and strategies, education policies and strategies. They're supposed to focus on policies. They're supposed to tell the people, this is the challenges that you are facing. For example, one thing that I would love to hear from one of the MPs is, how do we safeguard marriages? Because broken marriages, broken homes also affect performance of the country. What policies can we come up with as members of parliament that we can send to parliament so that they are passed? Then we ensure that we're strong families to build a good national character that helps the country develop. So if you look at my vision is more strategic, unlike what we have for the constituencies. So if you look around most of these members of parliament, some of them don't even understand why they are there. I've seen others even in the recent past who I used to respect. When you look at their policies, they're also talking about building infrastructure, which is not their responsibility. The responsibility of infrastructure development lies with us. If you ask me about my health strategy, I've got something already where we want to promote primary health care. But above that, we also want to promote medical tourism. I've already identified places like Livingstone, Chipata, Kasama, and Mongu, where we want to build specialized university teaching hospitals to attract the foreigners so that they can come and access medical services. But you have a member of parliament that says, I want to put up a clinic here, I want to do this. So their manifestos are misplaced. So for me, I believe I've got this holistic, very strategic vision for the country. And the burdens that I carry are also for the country, not really for communities, yes.
That's really interesting, and I think we will delve into more of unpacking what you've got for the Zambian people.
Yes.
Now, I think while we are still on the subject of your political ambition,
yeah.
I'd like to make mention that for context, Mr. Akim Njovu is the president of the Democratic Union Party, which I think I stand to be corrected, was launched 2 years ago, yes, in 2024. Now, would like to ask you another question in line with the political structure,
yes,
that you have. And during nomination, mm-hmm, we saw you filing the presidential bid,
yes,
alongside Madam Miriam Banda.
Yes.
I think many people would ask that for a long time, Zambia's politics has been shaped by what is perceived as, regionalization, mm-hmm, where two people from the same region, mm-hmm, being on one ticket, it seems a bit unbalanced. Yeah. So I'd like to find out the decision of picking someone from the region you come from based on what has characterized the Zambian politics for a long time now. Yes. Do you think it's an advantage to pick, due to lack of a better term, I would say your sister?
Yes.
Now, when this now be a family affair to an extent,
yes,
how are you reconciling Zambia, one nation in the political ticket?
Thank you so much. So if you have viewed my interviews, you'll see that you'll notice that I'm somebody who's been against these politics of tribal talk and also regionalism. What we believe in is that we need to identify people who can deliver. There's no need for us to be choosing or electing people because we come from the same region when they are not able to deliver. For me, why we chose Miriam is that she was so courageous to take up the role. Others that we had approached, I think, were not prepared. Others were scared. So for me, I would want to, when I'm talking about the issue of youth participation, youth leadership, we have to demonstrate it. We have to show the world, we have to show the Zambians that we really mean what we are talking about. So for me, we are beyond or above politics of tribal talk, and therefore I think that does not scare me to say that we've got a person who is coming from the same region as myself. And also maybe the husband is also not from that region. He is Lenje. Yeah, so for me, I'm not really looking at her, but I was looking for a young lady who is very courageous, a young lady who is very determined, somebody who could support the Democratic Union's vision and idea. And when I looked at the young people, most of them were not ready to take up the role. They were scared. Say, Vice President, no. So I needed to find somebody who's going to be courageous, and apparently she's the one who came forward to say, I'm equal to the task, I can support you. I believe in this vision. And so that's how I got her to say, this is what we want to fight for. For me, I believe that we will not actually work against us. We've moved around the country. I think I've interacted with most people from all the 10 provinces, and they are willing to support us, especially that we are young. We are promising something that is new. We are promising that vibrance. We are bringing that new energy that people are looking for. We are giving them hope. We're saying, yes, we are in this space where we are today. If you look at the country's development, it has plateaued. We are not making as much progress as we are supposed to do. So for me, we needed young minds that can help this country to leap forward. If you look at our forefathers, the Kekes and the Kapwepes and others, the others who contributed, they were young at that particular time, and you could see the contribution that they made to this country. We were boasting at that time of industries that were value adding to our mineral resources, to our agriculture sector. But we don't have them today. And today you see the same people, some of them who participated in privatization, some of them who participated in destroying the economy. Why do I call it destroyed? Because KK left those industries that were value adding. Today we don't have them. This is when we're talking about investing in them. But they were there. What we could have done is just improve the technology that was there and be able to make progress as a country. And then if you look at the thinking that is there, today we're talking about debt. We are proud as a country to talk about debt restructuring. Should I be proud as a young man to talk about debt restructuring? No. For me, I believe we are actually supposed to pay off that debt. We've got quite a number of resources that we can use to pay off that debt. If we are not willing to pay that debt off, we needed to have invested that debt in ventures that are income generating, that will be able to back the repayments of that debt. But you find that the debt that you have borrowed, have invested in areas that are not income generating. This time around, our debt is growing, and it appears we are consuming it because we've got programs like free education, which also need a lot of money to be funded. But have we repositioned ourselves? Did we look at from a strategic point of view to say, we are providing free education and it requires a lot of resources. Where are we going to get these resources? Are we looking at getting resources domestically? I've been telling these people that when you are a president, your vision should go beyond borders. You need to look at, to understand geopolitics, what is happening in the international space. Right now, if you look at Europe, where most of our assistance comes from, they are living in fear of Russia. They don't know that Russia can attack them. And the talk that has been there is that they need to increase their defense spending. And we experienced it 2 years ago where they said we are cutting aid to Africa. They didn't tell you that we are investing in defense, but you could tell that they're investing in defense. They need to upgrade their equipment and all that. So even when you look at our budget, will they continue to give us those grants? No, the answer is no. They have got many problems. They've got wars there that they need to attend to. So we need to change our posture as well as a country. That's why when we say we need young people to be there. So because young people are energetic, young people think fast, young people have got innovative ideas that can help us reposition our country. So when we talk about all these things, we need young minds to come and help us. That's why for me, our vice president plays that critical role. We want somebody who is very courageous. We want somebody who can also generate ideas. Of course, maybe just being young may not be the only qualification, but we need somebody who is able to generate ideas. Generation of ideas doesn't only come from education or from experience, but it comes from the person's mind. If they are very creative, then they provide that leadership that we're looking forward to. Yes.
That's quite a holistic answer that captures even, I think, beyond the scope of what we wanted to find out.
Okay.
So I think you just mentioned now that Zambia's development, which is actually leading to the next question.
Yes.
I think you just mentioned now that the development of Zambia has plateaued.
Yes.
I think that is a notion that other sects of the Zambian populace may not quite agree with, because others, from the perspective they look at things from, the macroeconomic variables are converging. The major part of Zambia's debt has been restructured, it's been negotiated.
Yes.
Education is free. CDF allocation has widened. I think we are seeing posters of CDF around.
Yes.
Others might feel we are in the right path as a country now. Briefly, we would like to understand from you as the president of the Democratic Union, based on the perceived wins of the current leadership, what are you coming to offer that is currently not there, considering everything that other sects of this population consider progressive?
All right, thank you so much. So one of the issues that we must be quick to point at is the issue of debt itself. We don't know conclusively to say, because statements sometimes change. You see, they are saying today they will say 90% debt has been restructured, the other day 95%, the other day we are still working on. But we want to assume that we have restructured our debt 100%. A few days ago, we saw that Zambia wanted to buy back one of those Eurobonds. And then those who got interest in them said, you can't buy them. So it simply shows that we've got a burden. I think that gives people sleepless nights. So as a young person, what do I want to do differently? Right. Would want to make sure that that debt is paid off. But why do I say so? Because I think we've got adequate resources, we've got adequate minerals in this country that we can use to pay that debt. And when we talk about Zambia's performance today, if you look back in 1964, Zambia's GDP per capita was better off than that of China. But can we compare Zambia and China today? You might say, Akim, you are mad if you had to compare Zambia and China today. So I want to take you on that path, but we need to compare, because at that point, Zambia was doing better than China. Are we in a position to compare ourselves to China? We are not. So it simply shows that we have not been very innovative as a country. We have not done what we are supposed to do. For me, I would love, one good thing about me is that I've got an engineering background. Engineers transform nations. Engineers change the face of nations. I think for a long time we've had lawyers as presidents. Maybe that's why we are more administrative. If you look at, I'll talk about the free education as well. One of my aspirations, which I think I do commend UPND for free education, one of my aspirations is that let's extend free education to tertiary. When we extend it to tertiary, then we are completing the cycle of producing useful citizens. Why do I call them useful citizens? If we just leave free education at grade 12, a grade 12 is not very useful. I can still employ you as my garden boy, even if you have finished grade 12. But if you go to tertiary, you make certain demands. You find that I've got more work to give you because I think you have developed or built skills. So when we leave free education at grade 12, we haven't really achieved that much. We need to build our citizens. We have a lot of educated citizens, and maybe some of them start exporting them. If you look at, I would like looking at the world itself. When I'm a president, of course, I know how linkages should work. We've got countries like Japan, we've got Europe. Most of the population is elderly. They will need young people. If we educate our young people, we can send them there. They go and work if we can't create enough employment opportunities in this country. So that's the vision that we need to have as young people, to look beyond borders, even as we are building ourselves, as we are preparing ourselves. So when you talk about the economy right now in terms of its well-being, right now the issue of the cost of living has been one of the thorny issues that we talk about every day. When you talk about even just the compensation of most workers, today we are told that a food basket costs about 12,000, but you find that others are earning less than 5,000. Are we in a place where we should be so proud as a nation that we have achieved? If we are so proud, then we just know that then as a country, we are not thinking rightly. We can't be comfortable at a pace where not everyone is able to afford a meal. So when people say that this government is doing so well, yes, we do commend them for the other good things which they have achieved, like free education, even the increase of CDF. Though CDF, again, the challenge, you see, when you reach a certain stage, when you are at that level where you're very educated and you know how to manage people, you give them statistics which do not speak to reality. So you can say that today our GDP has grown, today our inflation has reduced, today our exchange rate has come down, today this has done. You can point out that statistics. What is the real impact to the ordinary citizen? Are the ordinary citizen feeling the real impact of that gain in the economy? So this is the talk that we want to champion, and that's why we are saying the young people are the ones who are usually affected, including the women. We want them to come forward, to step forward, so that when we are providing deliverables for the country, I don't want to have a situation where a certain segment or grouping in society starts shouting that I've been left out. We want at the table where resources are distributed, we want the young people there, we want the women there, we want the differently abled there, so that when we are distributing resources, everyone is able to present their case. My strategic desire will be to change the face of this country, and I'll tell you as we go on what plans we have to change the face of every province. If you look at development in this country, it has been skewed to Lusaka and Copperbelt. That's why we are seeing real development. But is that a path that we want to take? For me, I'm also concerned with the compounds here in Lusaka. We've got one national crisis, which is the water issue, water ejaculation. Part of the compounds, you can't even put up good water systems because they're overcrowded, the roads are not there. But how do we decongest these provinces? We need to take development to other provinces. When we do that, then we begin to free Lusaka and Copperbelt of the burden that it has to pave way for other developments that may come in. So when we talk about the well-being of the country today, we still have the issues of the cost of living that I think hasn't been addressed. We still have the issues of, if you talk about the democratic space and governance style, it hasn't been that conducive. You've seen a number of arrests that have been made. You see a number of persecutions that would call persecutions. You see citizens being silenced. So is it something that we should be proud of? When we want to focus on, of course, we want, as a democratic state, we want freedoms of our citizens to be guaranteed. We want food security to be guaranteed. But is it guaranteed at the moment? It's not. So when we say that this government, I think, is yet to provide that performance that we can be so proud of, this is what we mean. Yes, others may be excited because they want to point out at a few things, but we need to talk about issues that affect everyone. For example, if you talk about free education, do you think it is a benefit for everyone? It's not. If you talk about increase in CDF, is it a benefit for everyone? Maybe you are one of the people who doesn't even mind whatever is happening at CDF, but what you'd be so interested in is to ensure that the price of food commodities is affordable, the price of fuel is something that you can manage. You'd want to have uninterrupted the electricity. Right now, when we talk about the issue of load shedding, how have we resolved it? We've resolved it by importing electricity from Mozambique, according to the information minister's statement that he gave last year. So we haven't sorted out the problem, we still have it. So all those are issues that we need to look at. If we've got any young leaders that wants to aspire for office, they have to look at those key critical issues. The most important ones are the basic ones which affect everyone. And then if we address those issues that affect everyone, then I think the country can be on the right path. Like I've told you, the government can pride itself to say this has reduced, this has what, this has improved. But is there a real impact on the citizens' well-being? Is there impact on the belly? Is there impact in the pocket? All these are issues that we can need to talk about. Strategically, we can also point out the tax regime in the mining sector. I don't think we are getting enough benefit from the mining sector as we should. So all those are issues that we the young people need to come and address. How do we want to address these issues? Because the mining sector is the one which can help us pay off our debt. A mining sector is the one which can help us shape ourselves in terms of our improving the living standards of the people. The mining sector is the one which should also help us in diversification in terms of irrigation development in the agriculture sector. The mining sector is the one which should help us set up these specialized university teaching hospitals in these 4 key areas where we want to see development. The mining sector should also be the one to help us in terms of road infrastructure development. Our desire is to open up the northern region to tourism, but there are no roads leading to most tourism sites, so they find that there's less investment in those areas. So we need to open up those areas, but where are we going to get the resources? We know that at the moment we are choked with debt. We can't go back to borrowing. We need to use our resources to put up these projects that we want. So this is where we want to see the country go from this place.
That's really, really interesting, President Njovu. I think we would like to now find out, of course, without explaining in great detail.
Yes.
What would you say maybe would be the top 5 problems that the Democratic Union, through, of course, your leadership, is coming to solve?
To sort out. Okay, thank you so much. So I think what is so dear to my heart is to ensure that the living standards of our people is improved. So one of the key issues that we need to come and address is the issue of the cost of living, unemployment, and also converting our resources from where they are as minerals, agriculture in terms of converting agriculture produce into government revenue, and also looking at healthcare, and also paying off our debt. For me, that's very, very important. I think those are the issues that we want to come and focus on. So as the Democratic Union, we are a transformative political party. So how are we going to transform this country? So we are coming to set up what you are calling strategic cooperations. So these strategic cooperations, we have got 4 strategic cooperations. The first one is the National Food and Agriculture Corporation, where we want to establish commercial farms in all the districts to ensure that we have enough food in our country. And also by having enough food in our country, if we produce a lot, then definitely the price of our staple food will come down. So we are not going to tell you that we are going to reduce the bag of mimi to 100 kwacha or 70 kwacha or 50 kwacha, no. But our strategy, our intervention is to ensure that we establish commercial farms in all the districts. Once we do that, we engage in that, then our staple food will be able to reduce. And also once after we have food security for 2 to 3 years, we need to start exporting our staple food. Every year we've got Zimbabwe needing our maize, Malawi, Rwanda, Tanzania. Why should we put ZNS in the borders? Why are we denying ourselves of the revenue that we need to transform our country, to build our roads, to pay for free education and all that? So we need to think outside the box. So this is what we intend to do. We also intend to come and liberalize the agriculture sector, whereby everyone who engages in agriculture, they are going to take agriculture not as a survival operation, but as a business. You need to make a profit. When we liberalize, it will be your choice to say, can I take my maize to FRA or make a profit? Or can I take it to Malawi or make a profit? So you have to decide based on the inputs that you've put in, the cost of your inputs. Agriculture is a very tricky business. Most people think that they make profits, meanwhile they make losses, because there's a lot that goes in, the supervision, the human labor, the hours that go into agriculture. You may end up saying that I've made a profit when you haven't. So we want to give that leverage so that people can make a profit. But one other aspect I think that is very, very important to us, that needs to come and help us transform this country really, is the mining sector. I've talked about the tax regime, which is not favorable. I've criticized the Minister of Finance to say, why have you reduced the mineral royalty? And he gave the excuse that, no, if you look at Canada, the tax is low. You look at DRC, the tax is low. I've told him that that's your thought is misplaced. If you look at Canada, the mining houses that operate in Canada, they do declare the full output when they mine. If they mine 10,000 metric tons, they will declare we've mined 10,000 metric tons. But here in Zambia, they cannot declare 1,000 or 2,000. This is what we've mined. So I have a problem with that. So we won't be getting what we are supposed to get. Then second, if you compare Zambia against the DRC has got a history of conflict. Why should we have the same tax regime? These mining houses invest heavily in security, in ensuring that their mining operations continue, because there's war there. In Zambia, it's peaceful, and we've got these transitions that are peaceful. So they don't need to invest a lot in security. Therefore, our tax rate must be higher than DRC, so you can't compare that. So for us, what do we want to come and do as Democratic Union? We are going to set up, first of all, a corporation which we are calling the Natural Resources Corporation, which is going to engage in mining activities. We pray that we are going to set up a minimum of 3 mining operations in each province. Like I've told you that I want to see transformation in all the 10 provinces, because our desire is that all the provinces should have universities. Why should people from the Eastern Province always come to University of Zambia, or from Northwestern to come to University of Zambia? We need the universities in all these provinces so that ultimately we can protect our suburbs. We don't have them overcrowded, because the moment people graduate at Unza, where do they find employment opportunity? It is in Lusaka, so they have to stick around, and thereby you end up seeing that migration, which is not necessary. So when we introduce this corporation, we're also going to introduce what you are calling the Chiefdom Development Fund. So this Chiefdom Development Fund will be funded by a levy, which we are calling the Chiefdom Development Levy, which will be taxed at 2.5%. So that 2.5% will remain in the provinces to build the provinces stroke the chiefdoms. So the mining houses will have an extra 2.5% on top of the mineral royalty. So this is how we are going to start getting benefit from them. So the way we are going to allocate that 2.5 is that we've already given guidance. 1% of that 2.5 goes to development projects in the chiefdom stroke the provinces. Then 0.25% will go to NEMA to improve healthcare. Then another 0.25% will go to NAPSA for social protection, because we want to introduce a pension scheme for our parents in the rural areas. Then another 0.25% will go to the Youth Provincial Office. We want to address the issue of junkies, but also invest in the young people. We don't want our brothers to be called junkies. We need to invest in them. So when we take it to the Youth Provincial Office, we want them to invest in academies and other recreation facilities, so that the young people can have something to do other than just roaming the streets. So when we invest in art, the youth are going to decide. Like I've said, one of the things, I think I'll talk about it later, is that the youth should be district commissioners under the Democratic Democratic Union, so that they are present. Imagine a province has got maybe 10, 14 districts, and they are seated at the table there. They've received this Chief Development Fund, which is allocated to the young people. They are going to make good use of it. They won't even blame the president for lack of projects that contribute to the well-being of the young people. So we want them to be there. Where resources are distributed, they will decide, no, we want to build an art center, which is going to take care of musicians and other art performers. They will say, okay, we want to build academies so that maybe we want to invest in basketball, we want to invest in soccer. All that, I think it will be given to them as a responsibility. We will tell them that this is their allocation. So we'd love to see a lot of young people trained in ZNS. Of course, when they are trained in ZNS, the way we are going to use them is that we want them to go into the National Food and Agriculture Corporation for production of food, and also into the one corporation which we are calling the National Construction and Engineering Corporation. So when we talk about the cost of living, it doesn't choose that you want school, you want school, it affects everyone. So how do we address the burden that these who have never been to school? How do we empower them economically? Yes, we can reduce the price of mini meal through increased production of maize, but still they don't have the economic power to buy. So how do we empower them? So we want to make sure that a certain portion of those who drop out, those who dropped out in grade 2, grade 5 and all that, can also be given an opportunity to work so that they have economic power. So the National Engineering and Construction Corporation will get some of them. Once they are trained from ZNS, they will go into infrastructure development. You don't need somebody who is very educated to do drainages, to put those to pavers. No, you just train them, you give them soft skills, off they go and work. They help the other engineers as they are doing road construction as well as other projects. So this is how we seek to help the citizens address those issues. And then there's a 0.5% which will go to investment in technology and innovation. I'm very passionate and very big about technology and innovation. One of the desires that we have as a president and as a Democratic Union is that this country needs to reach a stage where it starts exporting solutions. If we have to start exporting solutions, the young people have to get interested in the leadership of this country. We have to invest in the young people. We have to invest in technology and innovation. Then that way we'll begin to go on to move on the right path. That's why I've said maybe we need engineers now so that we come and transform this country. The young people have got a lot to do. What we want to do is that 0.5% will go to a corporation that we are calling the National Technology and Innovation Corporation. We're even going to set up the Office of the Innovation General. We want somebody responsible for identifying talent. If you have watched the NBC, there's a lot of innovation in this country. One of the innovations that I can point out to Dr. Mumbuna is the innovation that we had where we've got a student at Notec, is it Notec or CBU? They made a vehicle. That story has died. The president is always talking about minerals that can be used in making electric vehicles. But we've got this innovation where we haven't invested in. So me, I would have loved at this particular time, we find that student, and I've seen others have made those vehicles. We tell them that now we've got minerals that we can use to make electric cars. What can we do? Can we invest in you? Can you set up a company? If you can't set up a company through this national technology and innovation, can we start producing cars? If you look at the pilot project that are developed for these technology and innovation centers, it has got 6 areas. We want to look at the automobile, we want to look at agriculture, we want to look at health, we want to look at mining, we want to look at aeronautics, we want to look at electronics. We invest in these areas. Once we invest in these areas, then we'll be able to produce something. The other responsibility that this technology and innovation has is to start producing drones to be deployed in agriculture. If we have to increase the yield in agriculture, we have to engage in smart agriculture. Smart agriculture involves deploying drones. Right now, technology has evolved. There are tractors that use the GPS to control the cultivation and the rest. So we need to move that. We shouldn't look at ourselves that we are unable. We are able to do that. If we are not able to do that, we'll look at our international policy. How are we positioned as a country? For me, I would love to engage with these countries, to see countries that are doing so well in terms of technology. If we can go to Taiwan, if we can go to China, if we can go to America, that's why we want to pursue these non-aligned policies for that reason, to say each country should come and invest. We know that Chinese are good in construction and innovation. Maybe we can allow them buy a share in the National Engineering and Construction Corporation. We work with them. Taiwan, we know that they are making chips. What about research in electronics? Can they help us? America, can they help us in the production of drones? So we want to make sure that we position our country in such a way that we are going to benefit from these countries. We know that Israel is quite good in terms of agriculture. I'm lucky that I've connected with few Zambians who are in Israel. So if we can come up with our policies, which I've shared with them to study, to say when we are given the opportunity, you guys need to come back to this country, come and help us. So that's how we want to position this country in terms of strategic direction, in terms of transformation. So we've got this for cooperation in agriculture, in mining, engineering and construction, as well as technology and innovation. The one for engineering and construction, of course, will focus on the roads and other major projects. But also we've got a crisis in our compounds. We've got the issue of water reticulation. How are we going to address it? We need an institution that's specifically assigned to address those issues. When we talk about the irrigation development agenda of the Democratic Union, this cooperation has to come and address it. And then when we are looking deep into details, I know we're not talking too deep into details, we are setting up what we are calling the Zambia Institute of Mining and Petroleum. We want to ensure that the mining sector is also helped in some way, where we've got codes that people and ethics that people can follow. One of the desires is that we are going to come and set up what we are calling the Mining Investment Agency, where we want to build our own citizen billionaires. We need to identify philanthropists in this country who we can build so that they have become citizen billionaires. If you look at the US, they've got Elon Musk, they've got Bill Gates, they've got Jeff Bezos. Those guys can buy maize if we have got a problem in the country. He says, I'll buy for 5 provinces. This is what we want to do. We want to invest in our own citizen. Then there's something that is very innovative that we want to come and do. We want to come and declare one province a capital economic zone. We want to mobilize capital for the manufacturing sector. I'm sure you've heard these stories. No, let's diversify, let's build value addition plants. Where will the capital, where will the money come from? So we need to be innovative where we declare this province a capital economic zone, pass policies that are going to protect or ring-fence that province from government and political interference. You do not want me to tell you, Dr. Mumbuna, that I know you've got money in Switzerland. I know you've got money in Mauritius. Bring it. The moment you bring it, we arrest you. No, we don't want that. So that's why we declare that and pass policies that are going to ring-fence that province. When you bring that money, it's very safe. All that I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, Dr. Mumbuna, you've brought $1 million. I'm only getting 7% for what I'm calling industrialization fund. I want to build my industrialization fund. Then I'll tell you after 3 months, that money is yours to do whatever you want. There are specific policies that will provide for the capital economic zone, but after 3 months, you can take the money wherever you want. Us are going to get a 7% with the intention of investing in the manufacturing sector so that Zambians, those who want to invest in the manufacturing sector, capital can be gotten at a cheap rate. A maximum I would love it to be gotten at is 7%, so that you don't have a huge burden, because capital has been very expensive. You go to the bank, they tell you they're going to give you money at 30%. So it becomes very complicated to invest, for your business to stabilize, for your business to generate profits and be able to build that business. So we want monies that will come specifically for that assignment. Then we'll be able to deliver the Zambian dream. Of course, you see, the mining sector is a very sensitive sector. We've got these multinationals that are very powerful, so we need to manage it very well. When you talk about the National Resources Corporation, our focus will be on mining precious minerals or precious metals. So these ones are not capital intensive. If you talk about mining gold, mining diamonds, it's not capital intensive like the way it is with copper. So we'll be able to set up these and be able to let them run. Then once they start running, then we build capacity. When we build capacity, we can consider to invest now in copper. But of course, there are pending matters that are there. The sale of KCM, the sale of Mopani is still something that is debatable. But I cannot tell you that I'm coming to arrest anyone, no. Of course, there will be commissions that maybe will be instituted to look at their sale to see, was it rightly done? Is it something that we can look at and do it in a better way? So there are such things that we want to do. But the mining sector is the game changer for this country. We've got the burden of debt. We've got the issue of cost of living. At some point, even when we have produced enough in large numbers our staple food, there could be a need for us to subsidize maize. There could be that need for us to subsidize fuel. But if we don't have enough reserves come from minerals. That's how we need to make sure that our minerals are working for us. When we do that, then we'll be able to make sure that every citizen benefit from that. Then talking about transformation, we also come in to set up the Office of the Engineer General. We want somebody to come and set up standards for engineering and construction. Somebody who's going to say, if you are building a road, this should be a standard. You saw what happened, is it in Copperbelt, where roads was built under PPP, and after just under 1 year, we see that the road has gotten damaged. Where they know inspectors to inspect that? Don't we have standards to follow? When the inspector goes there, what do they use to measure good works against the expected standards? So these are the things that we need to come and do. So when we talk about transformation, these are the things that we'll be able to achieve. So when I say you young people need to get interested, I've got a lot to download to you, but some of these things I'll not implement them. Part of it is because I've worked in other corners of government where I do not have the experience how things operate. Me, I'm going to deliver the vision. I'll give you the vision. I'll say, Dr. Mumbuna, we want to promote primary medical health care. Please roll it out. It is now you as an expert who are going to work with you. You're going to appoint, if you're a minister, you appoint your own permanent secretary who is able to help you execute that. Because me, I'll be measuring you at that level. And after 1 year, after 2 years, I'll be looking at your performance. It will not be business as usual. Of course, as like I've stated, a young person must generate ideas. If a young person can't generate ideas, then we don't need to give them those offices. We need to give other people who can generate ideas. It is about generating ideas that we need from young people. We don't need to do things as business as usual. No, we don't need to say, because somebody has talked about free education, let's roll it out. We roll it out, we find that there are now 190 pupils in a class. Didn't we plan for that? We didn't, we just rushed it. Because somebody spoke about it, then we wanted to implement it. We need to do things in a proper way so that the citizens see the real benefit. And the citizens should differentiate that these are young people, they actually reason, they're actually innovative, they're able to generate ideas, they're able to address issues. One thing about being young is that you're thinking is fast. When you are faced with challenges, you respond in a specific way. One of the things that I laugh about is there was a time I watched something. There was a family that made a hydro power station that was feeding a community. I don't know whether it's in Central or Wapula province. The only thing that happened is they went to State House to have a meal, and the story died at that particular time. But for you be saying, what if we get interested and invest in this person? Or we tell this gentleman, can you make a company? Can you start producing electricity? You know that that company is going to be Zambian owned. They are going to employ a lot of people. If they can't have that capacity, the government comes in through citizen empowerment. One of the things that we need to talk about when we talk about the young people is the employment creation, empowerment. When you talk about CDF today, it's 40 million. How much is allocated for empowerment? It's only 8 million. For me, I would love that empowerment to be increased to 100 million so that the youths and the marketeers are able to have enough resources. And you see right now there's a talk, when you go on the ground, people are saying, for us to get that empowerment, you have to belong to a party, you have to belong to a tribe, you have to come from a certain region. That talk is very cheap. We need to have enough resources so that there's no ground for excluding anyone. We need resources that are adequate, but that can only happen if our investment in the mining sector bears fruit. Right now, we make this pronouncement. I'm sure you saw at some point, one of the members of parliament asked the finance minister, what's your motivation to be increasing CDF every year when you are failing to give us the money? Instead of saying, no, but our records at Ministry of Finance show that we have given everyone 40 million. But he is a member of parliament who knows what is happening in his constituency. He's telling the minister, you haven't given us the full amount. The reason is that the country doesn't have resources. I'll tell you later on, as you ask me one of the questions, that the members of parliament haven't been given their gratuity. It's a sign that we don't have enough resources. So many pronouncements are being made, but we are lacking at some point where to convert natural resources into government revenue. We need to grow our resource envelope. We can have these aspirations. As long as we don't grow our resource envelope, then it will be a huge struggle. That's why we need young people. When you see that people are getting stuck, things have plateaued, it means young people are not participating in the leadership process, in the process itself that needs to transform a nation. If young people are shying away, you continue to see these problems. That's why you young people have to get interested. We know part of the burdens that young people face in terms of getting into political leadership. It's the issue of resources. It's very difficult for us young people to find resources to be supported, to do full-fledged campaigns, to be able to advertise. Yes, when we talk, people get encouraged. When we go to meet our parents, they are motivated, but at the point we need resources, you see that we are stranded. Then it becomes very difficult. But the young man must get interested. The young woman must get interested in participating into the national leadership if this country has to make progress.
We are still on the Young People in Politics podcast and hosting the Democratic Union Party President, Mr. Akim Njovu, where he is unpacking his vision for the country. And here we are, continuing to discuss with him on issues that we need clarity from him. Now, to continue, President Njovu, you're on record saying the country needs a reset.
Yes.
And I think I'll borrow from the words I spoke earlier, that there are still people who feel that we are on the right trajectory, that we are headed the good direction. Now, on to the reset that you are talking about, isn't there a risk that we can reset ourselves into experimental issues?
Yes.
So I would like you to just briefly explain what you mean by the reset that this country requires.
Okay, so when we talk about reset, we want to talk about 4 key areas. First, we want to talk about political reset, economic reset, social reset, and spiritual reset. I believe these areas need reset. If you talk about politics, you've seen that there's been politics of vengeance, politics that have been tribal, politics where the democratic space is shrinking. That's why we are saying reset. When you look at the Democratic Union, it's the only neutral political party that doesn't have any bitterness or vengeance intentions, revenge intentions against anyone. We do not have a problem with the party in power. We do not have a problem with the PF. But if you look at the other camps, once the other camp gets into power, there will be persecution of the other, and we won't make progress. If you look at the way when the UPND came into power, in the first year, they started arresting their opponents. You wanapangila mulandu ku Mongu, they took them to Mongu. You wanapangila mulandu Kasama, they took them to Kasama. By the time they woke up that they've wasted time, load shedding had wasted and it could not be reversed. And we had the cost of living, the price of foods going high. So what we need at the moment is leaders who are neutral, who are focused on bringing development. And when we do that, then we'll be continue projects that the PF left, continue projects that UPND will leave. So it's also about the issue of continuity. When you bring different set of leaders, you find that they can't continue. We saw this from UPND. They couldn't continue certain projects that were started by the PF. But when I come into power, I'll look at this project, say, okay, does it align to the Democratic Union manifesto of transforming this country? If it fits into that, let's continue, let's build on it, because that is necessary. Continuity is very, very important. Then I've talked about economic. Economically, we still have the issue of the cost of living. Our desire is that we improve the living standards of our people. We're talking about the burden of debt. Today we are talking about our members of parliament whose the graduate hasn't been paid. Then we're talking about expanding our parliament. Right now they're only about 166. Then we have increased it to, is it 256? So are you seeing the problem right now? You're failing to pay 166. Are you going to manage to pay 256? So all these are challenges I think that we are faced with at the moment. When people say that we are on a good path, then I doubt them. Because if we are failing right now, then we are adding all that, and then it speaks out to the fact that there's a challenge. We struggled to pay our farmers last year. We paid our farmers in February. Are we supposed to pay our farmers? In February, we're supposed to be eating what we call dobe, fresh maize. That's what we're supposed to be doing, not paying farmers for the previous year's marketing season. No, that simply speaks to a crisis. The electricity issue, when we talk about load shedding, for me, it's just been covered. The face has been covered because the solution that we have right now is importing electricity. Are we not supposed to invest a lot into electricity generation, such that then we curtail the issue of load shedding? So all those are issues that speak to a reset in this country. Then of course, when we talk about the policy direction in the country, may speak to socially also and other areas. We passed 74 laws. Some of them we don't understand. Some of them we are uncovering them right now. We just learned that actually there's a power that has been given to ministers to be able to privatize companies. Is that what we want? Not Parliament looking at that. So all those are issues that we need to come and look at. That's why we are calling for this reset, so that the responsibility to sell-state assets still lies with the Parliament, where there's a consensus. Because I don't expect you, Dr. Mumbuna, if you're the Chief Executive Officer of Mopani, you just wake up today, you tell your wife that Delonendo Gulisa Mopani, and you succeed in that. So we want Parliament to look at that, so that then state assets can be protected, because they take care of a lot of people. So those are the issues that we want to talk about. Then spiritually, I think we haven't done well as a country this far. We still haven't buried our former president. We still got a lot of issues that we talk about. So all that, I think, needs a reset. It needs new minds to come and reposition this country. So when we talk about this reset, we've got quite a number of areas that but specifically, we're talking about politics, we talk about economics, we talk about social, we talk about spirituality. So all these things need to be reset, so that then we define a new path. 60 years, one thing that you must understand is that the next president will be the 8th president. What does 8 symbolize? 8 stands for new beginnings. So we need to have a new beginnings. And when you look at the age of this country, we are 64 in terms of independence right now. So we have gone into a 3rd generation, meaning that we have finished 2 generations, we're going into a 3rd generation. Therefore, we need new things to start happening to this country. We need an industrialization agenda that is different from these parents that we have. But if you are bringing back the same old people that have been there in politics, what new thing do you expect from them? So this is where the reset is coming from. We're making actually a very strong and prudent call to each and every Zambian that we need a strategic radical leadership change in this country, so that we start experiencing new things. Don't you think the young people have got new things? We are in the era of AI. Do you still want to have those Stone Age ideas still coming back, finding themselves in Parliament, finding themselves in State House? Don't you want new ideas, fresh ideas that address the challenges of the young people? Today, the young people are complaining about employment. Today, the young people are complaining about lack of funds for empowerment schemes. What if we give them? Who are they going to complain to? Because they are the ones who are running their affairs. Then there will be no one to blame. They'll be able to know how to channel their resources. So this is the radical leadership change that we are calling for, so that the young people get interested. China invested in the young people. That's why China has been transformed today. The president was so bold enough to invest in the young people. He had trust in them. Some of these solutions that you use in this country, they are coming from university. They are experiments. After they are successful, they send them to Africa's products, and that's where we are today. So it will be very important to invest in the young people. So when we talk about transformation, we talk about radical leadership change, it borders on the young people. It hinges on the young people. The young person is a key player, very, very important player, very, very important player in the transformation of this country. The moment the young people are still being used as tools for political gain or mileage, then just know that this country still missed that opportunity to be transformed and to be developed. This is what we want. When you look at the region today, Tanzania is making its own planes. Me as an aviation engineer, I feel so bad to say, why has Zambia been left behind? Look at Rwanda, they're making their own phones. I'm saying, why has Zambia been left behind? Is there something that we can proud of to the international community and say, Onani Vameniti Chita as Zambians? There's nothing to be proud of. So why are you saying that we are in a very good space economically, when we cannot show off anything to the international community that this is what we are doing, except the history that we helped you get independence? So we want something new. We want something to present to our neighbors in the country, that this is what Zambia is producing right now. We want these shopping malls to be fed with Zambian products at some point. So let the young people rise up and start producing. Let's start exporting solutions in the outside the country. Then that way we'll know that the country is developing and it's transforming. So when I talk about plateauing, I mean that there's nothing new that we can be proud of as a country, that we say this is what we have done. If you talk about free education, the free education that was under KK was better off than that we have right now, because it extended to tertiary. It was true free education. Even your uniform, you are given free, but this time you have to buy uniforms. So all these are issues that we need to look at. And also maybe even just when you look talk about issues of cadarism, how can we address this issue? It's the youths that do not have anything to do, that are making noise in the bus stations and all what. What if we got them in the industries? What if we got them and took them to the public commercial farms that we are going to establish? By the way, what we want to do also is that through the prison service, we want to engage them in agriculture by allowing those low-level prisoners or offenders to be released 90 days early before expiry of their term. The 60 days you go and work on the farm, then the 30 days is given to you as rebate, so that we have full production of every citizen. By the way, my competition is not even HH. My competition is not these our predecessors, maybe KK, but I'm focusing at what Traore has achieved. The young man has achieved something great within 2 to 3 years. And this is the young man we're talking about. So when I'll begin to focus my vision on what HH has done or other presidents have done, then I think I'm being low ambitious. I need to start focusing on what other young people have done. We need to have a name created out of this country. My desire is not to be a rich president. It's a president who's going to serve this country selfless. I want to be on the list of the Mandelas, the KKs, the Nyereles. Those people have served their country selflessly and have transformed them. That is my desire. I don't want to have my record beaten, especially that I also have a military background like Traore. I need to come and make sure that these solutions and interventions work. I don't want to be a laughing stock. And I don't want to go out as a president, somebody who has mean achieved. No. So this is my ambition. These are the things that I'm looking at as an individual, as a president of a political party called Democratic Union. We want to make sure that this country begins to come out of its cocoon, so that then we're going to experience real life. This is what we want. We want to make sure that we are proud of our country. Yes. So when we talk about corruption as well, these are some of the burdens that we face as a country. How do we address it? One of the ways we can quickly address corruption is also through innovation. If we make sure that our procurement, distribution systems, we build some smart systems that are able to respond, smart systems that are able to award a person. I would love to see that maybe most contracts are put online for everyone to see that the process was fair, the process was open. But that requires you young people to develop systems that are smart, that can actually do the process of receiving bids, and to the process of awarding. Just a system that is very smart. You input whatever you need, it reads, it checks everything, then it awards. Because at the point of human intervention, that's where corruption starts. You put everything in the system, there's a man who comes behind to do something, to do an evaluation, then he favors Dr. Mumbuna, then corruption is there. So these are some of the things that we need to address, and this is one thing that I think that makes me have sleepless nights to say, how can we fight corruption? Corruption has been a very bad parasite. I've had the experience of corruption. Remember some time back I went to Chipata when they had done township roads, tarred roads. After 3 months I went back, the tar was gone. That's the first time I knew that corruption is very bad. So we need to address this parasite.
I think that's a very comprehensive response there, which I think leads us to the next question, which I think maybe in the interest of time, you can narrow it down to within a minute.
Yes.
You seem to be very ambitious and have a very huge vision to accomplish for this country.
Yes.
And there are different avenues of expressing the level of impact that we have mentioned, economically,
yes,
socially, spiritually, and otherwise.
Yes.
And the question now would be, considering the background you are from and the political party you represent,
yes,
why the top job?
Okay. For me, the top job will give me the ability to change policies. Certain things, I think, if we have to talk about improving the living standards of the people, policies have to be changed. It has to be connected to the strategic vision supported by policy. So if you are just a member of parliament, you may not have the strategic vision. You may propose certain policies. But for me, who looks at transforming, I've told you I want a disciplined nation. Then you might say, okay, can we then change the policy? Can we have all the school leavers get into military trained, then they come out? Or can we find a way of incorporating once they are school, we begin to put that inculcation into them? Don't you admire the Japanese, the way the children behave? Very respectful. I'd want a disciplined nation that is going to support me. Because if I'm ambitious, I cannot deliver this on my own. And we cannot deliver it with a few people. We need the involvement of every citizen from every corner of this country to participate in this. So for me, the top job will give me that opportunity to be able to connect strategy, vision, as well as policy, because that way I'll be able to do certain things. If I talk about the specialized university teaching hospitals, even as an individual, you can't find the money to build that. Who are you going to convince that we want to have this in this region? So it's very difficult. That's why we need the top job, because the top job gives the platform where you are able to direct certain things, you're able to allow people to discuss certain things at that strategic stage. Then you'll be supported by policy, supported by resources and all that. We could have done certain things as we are growing up or building on towards this, but those still fall short of creating real impact. I don't think there's an individual at this moment who can create real impact in a province. It's very difficult. That's why I've said we need to build our own citizen billionaires. We haven't built any. That's why we can't have a single individual can impact us at a provincial level. We don't have an individual can impact us at a regional level, because we haven't built that. That's why we wanted that opportunity to say, I'm passing policies. I'll make sure that I identify somebody. If I identify Dr. Mumbuna, that we are going to support him in his industry where he's so good. If it's mining, if it's agriculture, then we find a way of supporting you to make sure that we are building you as a state asset. Even when we leave as Democratic Union after 30 years, we are going to pass you on to another regime. We are telling them that this one is not Democratic Union, is a state asset. So don't victimize them. And I would love also to point out to the young people that as we call for politics of integrity, transparency, and accountability, I love practical examples. You see, when Elon Musk's company SpaceX was struggling, the US government gave in to keep it afloat. So they helped it to keep it afloat so that it can continue operating. Then there was a problem at the International Space Station. They had Elon Musk's company to go and bring back those astronauts. They brought them. Then elections opened like we are right now. Who did Elon Musk support? Supported an opposition candidate, Donald Trump. But who gave him the contracts? Biden. So the government did not have a problem with that. But us here, we have a very big problem. Dr. Mbuna will make sure that we'll finish you, we'll destroy you, even kill you. You see? So we need the people who are disciplining. When people are disciplining, they're able to understand that we are doing this, we want to achieve this. We are doing this because we want to attain this. Today, we've got a lot of Zambians whose bank accounts have been frozen because they had the connections to the previous regime. Is that the way we are supposed to live? Others are dying because of that. Will you be happy as a president to see your citizens dying because you have frozen accounts for them? Are you sure you can't get on a table and reason together? The Bible says, come, let us reason together. You need leaders who are going to reason with their citizens. You shouldn't be a president and be an enemy to the people you are leading. You need to bring them on the table, discuss with them if you have a problem. If they still, some of them, remember what Mwanawasa did to Chilwa. He told you, Bwezako Vinangu. Bwezako Vinangu. If he had Bwezako Vinangu, maybe he wouldn't have even gone to through that process. So we need leaders who are able to reason with their citizens. Don't be an enemy to the people you are leading. I can't be the president, Dr. Mumbuna, and start persecuting anyone. No, I think I would be above that. To persecute my own people, I don't think so. I need to call them and reason with them, say this, I think we can do it better. So that's why we want the office of the president so that we can connect policy and vision. It is easier that way so that we can have access to the country's resources to bring about the development that we want. We can have access to the policies to help the citizens be helped in terms of cementing them. Like right now, I say, I want strong families. I want strong families. How can I pass policies to help those communities? It's very difficult. So we need that position so that when we have that position, we can inform a strategic direction with the policy backing. So this is why I'm here. Like I told you, so the vision that I have is for the president, it's for the nation. So I can't be a member of parliament. I can't be a councillor. I can't be a DC because my vision is for the nation, not for the small communities. Yes.
I think two more questions as we wrap up
yes.
this interesting discussion is right into it. What plan do you have for the young people that are going to be listening to this podcast?
Okay, so you, the young people out there, I've got great plans for you. As you can see, I'm also a young person, very passionate about the country's transformation. And you people are very key in helping this country get transformed. But addressing the issues that you are faced with, I know one of the biggest crises that you face is the issue of unemployment. How are we going to address the issue of unemployment? The second issue is the issue of empowerment. How are we going to address the issue of empowerment? So the first way we're going to address the issue of high levels of unemployment is the creation of these, what we are calling strategic corporations. These corporations will be present in all the provinces, in all the districts. Therefore, we are going to create massive employment opportunities. Our target is that we create 4 million jobs from these once they are implemented fully. So that will cover quite a lot. But one thing that you have to appreciate, not everyone will have an opportunity to work because you may be hindered by your own skills. So then we need also to create a platform for empowerment. My desire is that we are going to create something that is going to be workable. If you look at CDF at the moment, the empowerment portion hasn't worked very well because sometimes what happens is when they borrow money, they don't return it. So we want to make sure that we are going to increase empowerment funds, like I said, from the current 8 million to 100 million. Remember, there's also a talk of 24-hour economy. If we don't have a lot of young people investing in the economy, how are they going to support the 24-hour economy? So for me, I'd want to empower you through creation of employment opportunities by creating what we are calling strategic cooperation in agriculture, mining, engineering and construction, technology and innovation. And on top of that, through the capital economic zone, when we declare that province a capital economic zone, we expect a lot of activity to happen there. So then also in terms of leadership, we want you, the young people, to participate in leadership. So all district commissioner roles are reserved for the young people. District commissioner in all the 114, 116 districts have to be led by the young people. They have to be there. I want when the Chiefdom Development Fund is being shared at the table there, you are there, 14 of you, if you have your province has 14 of you or your chiefdom, you are there to contribute to national development so that then the vision of the Democratic Union can be implemented the way it's supposed to be implemented. So this is my desire. And also the women will not be left out. The provincial ministers will be women. We want to make sure that at that table everyone is present. No one will start crying that the others are not represented. Women will be provincial ministers so that they are also at that table where they meet together with the young people, with the different table, with the chiefs, with the provincial administration, and everyone is there. They discuss, they say, this is how we intend to use our money to develop and change the face of this country. Us will give you strategic direction, but the implementation must be done by you, the young people, as well as the women. So this is what we intend to do for the young people. You have to support us because ours is a transformation. You have the innovative minds, you generate ideas. You have to generate ideas to transform this country. You have to criticize our policy. You say this intervention, we need to tweak it this way so that it works out this way. This will be the benefit. I am open to that. We want the positive-minded youths, young people, to come to Democratic Union and also criticize us to say this cannot work, it needs to work out this way. Then that way we are building this nation. This is our intention. So we've even gone a step further when we talk about women. Besides this 30% participation, we want also to encourage the private sector to have women leading their corporations. So what we've done is if you have got a company that has got a managing director and a finance director, both are women, we give you a 2% tax relief on your profits so that companies can now engage a lot of women. Why the appetite for having a lot of women? Women are less corrupt. Though these days I'm being challenged that we have also become corrupt, but that's my feeling that women are less corrupt. And you see the way they put things together, the way they keep homes, the way they build things together. We need that touch to be there in terms of women participation. That's why we've got a one person, our running mate, our vice president, a youth as well as a woman, so that she represents all groups, so that when we talk, we are talking a language that covers everyone. This is very, very important. So the young people you are covered, you need to really get interested in the Democratic Union, whether you're in the country or in the diaspora, in the service, civil service, or everywhere you are. Yes.
Thank you so much. And I think to wrap up this discussion,
yes,
would like to pick your mind on what you make of the current political and campaign climate.
Yes.
Other sectors of society are labeling this period as a boring campaign. Other people are saying there is no money in circulation.
Yes.
Others are saying it's too peaceful. Mm-hmm. Others are saying there is political intimidation.
Yes.
I think from you as a stakeholder of this election, would like to hear from you. What response do you have for people who feel these elections are just way too boring And I think we've seen a few incidences of violence and threats to our national peace.
Yes.
And I think we would like to, in conclusion, to hear what you make of that as also a stakeholder of this election.
All right, thank you so much. Of course, I'm one of the people that have said this campaign feels boring. It's quiet. And when it's quiet, you see the atmosphere doesn't speak to the fact that we're in a campaign period. Yeah, I believe even ECZ also delayed to produce the campaign calendar. It was supposed to be released by Monday. I think I haven't seen it. So when you look at it holistically, there's also a money issue problem, a liquidity issue crisis in the country. So everyone is affected. If you have told you that the members of parliament haven't been given their gratuity, how do they go and campaign? So it's very difficult. So one issue is the liquidity issue. There's no money moving in the economy. There is no energy. There's no hope as well. But one thing that I want to point out to you is that there's also no hope. Specifically when we are doing the voter registration, I interacted with some people. Some of them had to plead for them to go and register. My fear is that there could be a huge voter apathy because they are saying politicians are all the same. They all lie. They all tell you good things, but when they're given an opportunity, they don't deliver. So we have to plead to some, please, and then register. We have to plead with them. So I have that fear, especially the young people who came out in numbers in 2021, thinking that enough employment opportunities will be created for them to find something to do. But others have been in the compounds for so many years. So that will create a problem for us. So the primary issue is that there's no money in the economy. People don't have resources to go out and campaign, but also the aspect of intimidation. You saw what happened in Southern Province. A lot of people fighting within the same party, UPND, they were fighting. So do you think Garinkombo will be free to go and campaign? You have to think twice, maybe saying, Kapanka Chako Chabe the last 2 weeks. So all those are issues. There could be that issue of intimidation, that fear, that hostility that others may be experiencing. So, but overall, the issue of the liquidity, the issue of fear and the hostility, also the fact that the democratic space has shrunk, many are scared. If you look at it holistically, opposition players are under pressure. We saw recently a song being banned, then you've seen independent candidates also withdrawing. So there isn't that energy and that hope that should be there. So all these are summing up to the fact that that is revealing itself that the campaign is very boring. Yes, we've never seen such. It's not about the peace, no. Yes, we are peaceful, we've enjoyed peace, but usually there is noise when campaigns start. We see people moving, including us. We're supposed to be moving right now. But because of these liquidity issues and all that, we are all affected. We find that certain people are supposed to do things, are not doing things. Yes, we are not also doing things. We're also being cautious. So all these things, I think, sum up to the very fact that the campaign is very boring. Have you seen even the party in power doing campaigns as they're supposed to do? They are not. So it's affecting everyone. So let's be honest, the issue is not, the ground is not very good. It doesn't depict campaign mood or campaign season. Yes.
Thank you so much, President Njovu and the Democratic Union by extension for according us your time to have this interactive discussion with us, the young people. I know you are a very busy person, and making time to come and discuss with us in this fashion is a bit difficult. But I think I and the team really appreciate your time and the insights that you have shared with us. And we wish you nothing but the best in the oncoming elections.
Thank you so much.
This has been the Young People in Politics podcast with me, your host, Dr. Chelo Mumbuna, and our guest for today was none other than Mr. Akim Njovu, the President of the Democratic Union and the youngest aspiring presidential aspirant in these coming elections. And we unpacked different topics. He told us about his plans for the young people. We got to find out a bit about who he is, and would just like to encourage you to follow us on this platform. And if you found this conversation interesting, and if there are questions that you felt we needed to fire Mr. Akim Njovu, you can leave them in the comment. For now, from me, your host, and the entire production team, it's bye-bye.